Okay. So I was in an abusive relationship for 2 years, which currently, being in my early 20s, that was a big chunk of my adulthood. Abuse is never something you expect to happen in your life. However, after leaving the situation, I look back and realize that I had some help along the way. Earlier in my marriage, we bought a little dog named Canella. At the time, I thought she was a great emotional support animal for the depression I was feeling at the time. In hindsight, I realized that she was actually my little hero in helping me cope with the abuse that I was dealing with on a daily basis. She came with me after the divorce, and I had to make some big life decisions. I knew I had experienced trauma, and it was suggested to me to keep my dog as a way to help me cope with it. Cope, that's the key word. I realized that I had walked away from that relationship because I no longer wanted to endure the abuse and end up coping with the mental distress it was causing. And now I was faced with trauma from my experience, and I decided that I did not want to simply cope with that either. I wanted to heal. So I made the hard decision to give my sweet dog away. It's hard to differentiate the difference between healing and coping when you're trying to live it. But a literary definition of them is this: coping is the process of managing taxing circumstances and seeking to reduce or tolerate stress or conflict in one's life. Healing is the process by which neurosis and psychosis are resolved to allow the person to lead a normal or fulfilling existence without being overwhelmed by psychopathological phenomena. In essence, coping for me was just dealing with the trauma in the moment that I was feeling it, and healing was a way. Healing is to overcome that trauma and to live a fulfilling life unhindered by it in the future. Now, although I no longer had my dog around as an obvious coping mechanism, I did start to use other things in my life. First, I would find other people who had experienced similar situations. I would use their experiences as a way to validate my feelings and cope with my moments of trauma. Another way is I would make myself very busy with work, school, studying, friends, and activities to gain a small sense of feeling normal. But overall, when trauma would take over and be too much, I would go into fight or flight mode, which was very unhealthy. It was a very unhealthy way of coping and ended up hurting the people around me. But what I came to realize is that I did not want to face my demons. I did not want to face what I was going through, that I was going through trauma. I wanted to feel normal. I wanted to be normal. And if that meant using any little thing to cope, I was satisfied. Eventually, my trauma became too much. My episodes became more frequent, and healing was staring me in the face, and I was too scared to accept that. So I started talking to a trauma therapist who helped me to face that healing and face my trauma and all those past experiences. I began to verbalize to my loved ones when things would trigger me, or if I ever felt I was being psychologically overwhelmed by a situation. I would lean into those moments of trauma and face them so that I could rewire my brain to understand that I'm safe now and I'm no longer in an abusive relationship. And it has been working. My episodes are fewer now. I feel like I'm actually living and becoming myself again instead of a shell of pain going through life. Too often, we'd rather just cope with things and live this facade of a normal life. But then our mental illnesses or past experiences rear their ugly heads and we end up spiraling. We will lean upon other people, things, or animals to heal us when we need to heal ourselves. We need to be our own heroes and face our anxieties, fears, past traumas, insecurities, grudges, and anger. No longer should we be the victims of these things. Now, I'm sure you are wondering, where did Canella end up going and how is she doing? Well, she's doing amazing and being ridiculously pampered by my parents and siblings who actually ended up adopting her. So every now and then, I do get to go and see her. But when I do, it's just a reminder to me that she may not be my little hero in coping with the past, but now it's my time to be my own hero and heal. Thank you.
Great job.